Sorry, it sort of seemed like, or seems like, with that game last night in Montreal and tomorrow, that today's like the game between a playoff, the practice between a playoff game. Does it feel that way to you?
Well, if that holds true and that is the way you feel and we feel, I think that's great because it allows us to gain some experience. But last night's game was intense, quick, fast, exciting game. Today we came in and we approached it similar to a playoff type atmosphere where we reviewed the game. It was a real quick, clean out practice, working on a couple things and then move on. And it's exciting when Pittsburgh, Montreal, those types of teams come to town. We don't get to see them often, and the energy around the building seems to go up a little bit.
Now, when you've got a team with so little playoff experience, and you have a game like that, does that kind of, even with the final result, does that kind of send them forward willing to embrace it as opposed to maybe fear it a little bit and what's coming ahead?
I think that's a fair statement. For me, the game last night was about, and I don't know if it was Pittsburgh or if it was just the Oilers, but we drew some urgency out of our group. There was more desperation. There was a little more passion in the game than what we had seen a few games earlier. And that's what happens at this time of the year. And when you haven't experienced it as a group, and many individuals haven't even been through it, the more we can get of it, the better it is. Notoriously, for the past number of seasons here, the year is winding down for a number of players. They're playing hard. They're trying to get better, but they don't want to get hurt. They don't want to block shots. They don't want to do the things that you have to do at this time of the year. And it's completely different for us now with that push time. And so we're trying to reset the internal clock, if you will, to make sure that it's ramping up rather than ramping down.
Todd, you've been involved in some of this postseason stuff, so you have an idea of what it's about. What's going to be the key for your team to replicate what went on last night?
Well, it will be the understanding, the pressure of numbers, the pressure of the playoff push, knowing what the other teams do. We talked about that as a group here, media-wise, and me. But understanding what's going on around the league and how intense the games are going to be, and then elevating your play every night. There isn't a magic wand that you wave. You gain experience and understand that as you go along. I've experienced it from the other end, where you're so far ahead that guys at this time of the year take their foot off the gas and behave like a team that's out because you're trying to stay healthy. We're in the middle of it right now, and there's talk about playoffs, but I think we're in a different phase right now. We're in that push to playoffs. We don't even consider the tournament that'll happen later, but this push is real important for us.
In Pittsburgh, over the years, some Penguins players have been saying how difficult it was to play with Sidney Crosby because to understand what he was trying to do on the ice and just follow his lead. Has it been difficult to find the right players to play with Connor based on that similar idea?
I don't know if it's so much the players that are saying that as the coaches. Maybe we create that environment. But we've tried different combinations with Connor. We've settled with with Maroon and Draisaitl seems to be the best connection. But we're prepared to shuffle the deck when we need it. Some players just find a chemistry with one another, and they seem to have it. And I would say for us, Leon and Connor have had the best chemistry. Although we'd still like to see Leon in the middle at some point. But they have had the best chemistry, and I believe in trying to keep pairs together, maybe more than threes. So often one winger's moved around, but it hasn't been overly difficult. But we're still in that infancy phase of his career, and Curry, Gretzky, they played together for a long, long time. I think they finally got it. So it'll take some time.
Todd, Even after the first period last night where the score and the momentum seemed to be on Pittsburgh's side, did you in the dressing room going in feel like your forwards had landed some shots that might have an effect later in that game where it might tip it back in your favor?
Well, we talked about, I think I used the 85-15 ratio. 85% of our period was on par or maybe a little above par. It was the 15% that we needed to correct. And we addressed those areas and we became better. We became a little more physical in the second period. We were better in and around our paint where they were getting second and third opportunities. So those were a couple of the things. We talked about a few others, but those were a couple of things that we improved on, and it allowed us to become a better team. So I do believe I used that 85-15 ratio, and you're down by one or two and you're not feeling real good about yourselves. You have to be reminded that you are doing some good things sometimes.
Todd, since last year, I know you've been answering questions about Connor McDavid a ton of time. You're probably searching for new words. But with the way Connor played yesterday against probably the best player in the world, do you have another answer about the character of the kid?
Again, I've been speaking about the character. Like when I get asked questions about Connor, I start with the person and then go to the player, because I think that's the temple. That's the most important part of what he is. He's a great human being. He does things right. He's a passionate kid that cares immensely about his teammates, about the organization, the community. He's a great ambassador. And then I tend to go to hockey. So all of those things, just think about what I just said about a 19-year-old, 20-year-old now, I guess, but it's remarkable. The assets that he brings to the rink are pretty evident, his speed and his ability to create. Probably doesn't get enough credit for his ability to hold people off, to create space in tight areas, to win puck battles. Those are hard to chart. They don't show up in the Corsi or the analytic part of the game. You have to watch the game really close and probably, again, to appreciate how often he keeps things alive. A lot of times he's down on one knee and he's keeping a play alive. But they're not chartable. There isn't a group of analytics people that are charting that. And that's usually what's the most appreciated by the staff and teammates and fans now. They get to see him enough, they see that.
Would you say the same thing about Chris Russell? You just said about how much better is your defense when Russell's playing?
Well, we're better just because of his experience and ability to move pucks and block shots. We had a video review today of the game last night, and a couple of the impact plays weren't pretty offensive rushes or anything like that. They were Chris Russell blocking shots, 4-on-3 on the penalty kill in overtime, one-timer over to Malkin, and he's down blocking it. That makes us better, and we feel good when he's in the lineup.
And what do you expect about Desharnais? You mentioned yesterday he's played his whole time as a pro with one organization. He's never played against the Canadians before. His game seems to be getting better
Yeah, I thought his best of the three was last night. I thought Benoit Pouliot had a tremendous game. Cass played well, so the three complemented each other real well. I think or at least I believe it's a different feeling when you play against your ex-team, especially that quick. I don't know if Brandon will be in the lineup tomorrow, but I'm sure he'll have that feeling. You listen to Justin Schultz coming back, Taylor Hall, Larson going to New Jersey. It's a different feeling. And it's even more so, I think, and I may be wrong, maybe the Montreal people can help me out, but when you're a young man from Quebec and you grow up and you play in that environment and you struggle just to get to the league, and now you're playing for the Habs, that's pretty remarkable, and it's a story in itself. Now he's going to play against them. That's probably going to magnify his emotion a little bit.
Two more things from me. One is, how do you explain how this team has been so horse bleep in the faceoff circle all year, and you're all world last night? And the other thing, and I know you touched on it in here last night, but can you sort of project what it would be like for the fans and the team going forward if they could replicate that scene in there last night?
Well, the face-off question, it's some nights it goes your way, some nights it doesn't. Last night was our best outing on the season as far as numbers go and key situations. Again, the penalty kill, we were able to clear 2 pucks right off face-off. So, again, recognized it this morning, rewarded the players, and let them know that it meant a lot in the game. And that's part of that intensity coming down the stretch. Our numbers have to go up if we're going to have success. So, but it's, I don't have an explanation for it. And the second part of the question was the fans. A lot of energy in the building last night. Type of game, perhaps, up and down, fast, a lot of talent. Appreciated the nice plays and the skill that was there, but also appreciated the physicality and the grinding part that a number of players brought to the game. You could feel it on the bench. You could feel the energy in the building. And as I said last night, our 7th man, if you will, really helped us earn a point. I definitely believe that.
Todd, is a Claude Julien coached Canadiens team different to prepare for than a Michel Therrien team that you faced about, I don't know?
Well, they've been on a roll, up until the last game in Calgary, and I've never had the experience that Claude's having right now of coming in and taking a team over mid-January, February, whatever it was, and trying to put your stamp on the team systematically. There are still some very similar traits to their systematic game. I think he's probably pushing buttons a little bit different in the locker room, making small adjustments as they evolve. But it's hard to recreate a system at this time of the year, and he has the same staff. So I'm sure he's leaning on them a lot and talking to them about what they do in certain situations, what their cues are, what words have they been using to describe. But they're a very good hockey club. We'll have our hands full tomorrow.
Todd, Zach Kassian had a false start in Montreal, for lack of better expression, and it became a reclamation project for you guys. Can you take us through the process of helping him finding his game back, his life back? And because the way he played yesterday, I bet that's what Marc Bergevin would have liked to have in his lineup.
Yeah, it's a sad story turned great to this point, because he had some trouble in his life, and he went to a spot that he didn't want to be there anymore, and he opened up to some help, went and got the help, and he's been tremendous. We rally around that a little bit, I believe, in the locker room. Again, separate the human being from the game. He's become a wonderful young man. We enjoy having him around, and I'm really proud of him just from the human part of it. He's stayed on the straight and narrow, and sometimes it's easy to be tempted when you're around your teammates and they're out having fun and you got 3 days off. But kudos to him for doing things and for people reaching out to help him. His play has been tremendous. It's not as much pressure on him anymore to be Daniel and Henrik's right winger. We have him in a 3rd or a 4th line role. He's embraced penalty killing. He uses his size and strength to create space for Desharnais last night. Goes to the net. It's been a good project for us, and he's accepted it, so credit to him.